Hello everyone and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from LittleWhiteMouse. LittleWhiteMouse is a community contributor from the North American server, and you can find her in the official forums or on shipcomrade.com, where she publishes mostly premium ship reviews. Now Mouse is in the Fiji, the tier 7 Royal Navy cruiser. She is on the map Shards in a 3-point domination game mode. It's a tier 8 battle, but there are almost no tier 8s around. There is no carrier. And well, the enemy team has unfortunately one more destroyer, and destroyers are pretty crucial in a domination game. So somebody in the team proposed Alpha and Bravo. It's a pretty decent plan. Now let's see if the team follows it through. Now I chose this replay because it was a pretty close game, and I like featuring close games. And also because, well, this game allows me to talk about tactics quite a bit, or the lack thereof, I guess. So here in the beginning you can see a friendly destroyer goes towards Point Charlie. That's not what the team wanted, but, well, the friendly team will have always on this map having destroyers start close to Point Charlie. And basically the friendly team is a lot closer to Charlie than Alpha. But those islands prevent the friendly team from providing fire support. Those islands basically provide cover for the enemies. And if this destroyer gets caught there, he is most likely to run away. So if you are a destroyer and you are taking this point when you spawn here in the north, angle your ship in a way that you can easily retreat, and be prepared that if there are too many enemies you have to run, because you can't count on support from your cruisers because of those islands. Now here we can see at Point Alpha, enemy destroyer in the cap, and Mouse is just continuing right on in. She has Hydro active, so she can spot the incoming torpedoes. She has islands here, and those islands will provide cover against the majority of the enemy fleet. And if she gets close enough, she can just spot that destroyer and, well, secure this capture point. Once the enemies have this capture point, it's a bit more annoying to take it back, but this point can be hard to defend for the enemy team because of this island configuration. Now the enemy is spotted. The enemy's ship was not angled away from, so the enemy didn't really have a line of retreat. So the enemy is trying to run away, and he found himself an island. Now he is getting a few shells in his butt. So the enemy destroyer gets taken out here pretty soon, I suppose. And this cap is now free to take for the friendly team. As said before, all of those enemy ships, they just can't help anyone inside this cap circle, so the friendly team cannot take it and easily defend it. Now, once you take this cap, you want to move your forces towards the center. Like all those battleships here up in the north, there is absolutely no point to go towards Point Alpha once the friendly team has it. Basically, you want to position yourself between Alpha and Bravo, here maybe by those islands, so you can support both points. You can defend Alpha if necessary, you can push into Bravo. Ideally you want to have your destroyers trying to capture the point, because there isn't much cover inside the point. Now the friendly destroyer here up in the north is, well, he isn't moving towards the center, he's trying to flank the enemies. That's not the best move, it's a bit risky because he has no support over there, and well, he isn't helping getting objectives. The other friendly destroyer here is moving far to the south. I have no idea why. I guess he's also trying to stop the enemies from coming this way or flank them, or, well, again, he would have been much more use here towards the center. Now, while there seems to be an impressive force moving down here, as I said, it will be pretty hard for the enemies to actually take this point. And, well, you can see two friendly battleships here moving towards this corner. Never be in any of those corners. It's, well, you're basically doing nothing. It's like being AFK in a way. You are not contributing to taking or securing Point Alpha if you're in the corner, because there are islands stopping you. And meanwhile, by the way, Mouse is in a pretty bad situation. She has run herself into ground. And, well, thankfully she had smoke ready. Now she has to be careful. There might be torpedoes coming through this channel. Hydro isn't ready yet. And unfortunately she is detected by Hydro and some enemies are aiming at her. But considering the fact that no shells are arriving, all those enemies aiming at her are, well, behind islands. So once again you see this point here protects quite nicely against the enemy fleet. Now the enemy would be much simpler for the enemies to just take Point Charlie. If the enemies were smart, they'd take Point Charlie and then set up a defensive position at the center. And they'd probably already win because the friendly team shows actually... Well, the friendly team shows no interest taking the center. Now Mouse made it out of this awkward situation without getting hurt. And there is a destroyer coming pretty close around this island. That poor destroyer is probably in a world of hurt pretty soon. Or, well, he gets unspotted. It's also an option. Now, what would be great were friendly planes. We can see one friendly plane here. The planes can help spot beyond the smoke and behind islands. So while we can see Mouse is detected by enemy planes, unfortunately the friendly ships here don't seem to have planes ready. Now Mouse is on her way to support a push towards the center. If the enemies sail in this corner, that's great. Means the friendly team can just capture the center and then be in a perfect position to defend. So if the enemies were actually to all sail towards this corner, it would be amazing. The only way to screw this up were to send friendly ships in the corner as well, and look at that! The majority of the friendly ship is sailing towards a corner where they can do absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, Mouse is here in the perfect position. This unfortunate battleship here was a bit too aggressive because he had no backup. But Mouse managed to take out one destroyer, and that means the enemy team only has one destroyer left. That's good news. Now the enemies already have 2 capture zones. If the enemies would now pull back into a defensive position, this would end pretty horrible for the friendly team, but for some reason the enemies think 2 isn't enough, and they are pretty aggressively attacking the 3rd point. Obviously sitting back and just defending the center would be rather boring for the enemies, so I can understand why they wanna do something like this, but they shouldn't attack from this side. It's just like those small channels and those islands, as said before, right? Now, meanwhile, Mouse has spotted the last enemy destroyer and is preparing to unleash her guns. And if they can take out this destroyer, it would be a pretty big step towards winning this game. But she is switching to the Fiji here. The Fiji is maybe a greater threat currently, because the Fiji is returning fire. And well, Mouse has less hit points, so she is relying on that Fiji making mistakes on support from the friendly team. It looks like the enemy Fiji is backing up, and for whatever reason he is also running to show his broadside. I guess he wants to turn his ship around, but there's... yeah. Don't show broadside, basically. But he is proving once again why attacking from this side is pretty badly. Because you don't have an easy way of retreating. He can't just turn his ship around because there are islands in the way, and with his awkward maneuvering, what he mostly accomplished is showing his broadside. So that's pretty soon one less Fiji. And well, Mouse herself is in an awkward spot. She is showing broadside to a Nagato, but this Nagato is thankfully not pointing her guns in this direction. But it looks like the Scharnhorst is. Now this island can pretty soon provide at least some cover, and Mouse has smoke ready. She just has to slow down to deploy the smoke. Now slowing down is always risky because you are an easier target while slowing down. This is where this island comes in the way, so this island protects her, allows her to slow down her ship rather safe, and deploy some smoke. Now while she sailed outside of her smoke, she can now back up into the smoke. And everything's fine. And we meet the enemy destroyer again. Looks like the enemy destroyer is leading this push. And the destroyer might be a little bit too aggressive. For some reason the enemies are pushing here really aggressive in the north, but as I said, if they want to actually engage Alpha, they are in a... The enemy team is moving in a decent position, they just aren't all together there yet. The friendly team has most ships in a pretty useless position. But at least this enemy destroyer here is going down, he is trying to smoke, but it's too little too late. And he is out. Now the friendly battleship up here in the north is desperately trying to get away from the enemies. And probably hoping for some support, but yeah, not here. And, well, we see an Aoba sailing around one of an island, showing broadside, and Mouse is probably pretty happy about that. A few citadels later, that's one less enemy. So, let's speed it up a little bit here, because there is a rather slow period. Mouse moves herself towards the center, but keep in mind she can't just go around this island. There are 2 battleships and a cruiser waiting her, and she is detected by a plane. Which means if she sails around this island, she will just spontaneously combust. Now the friendly team is not really in a position to do anything just yet, so it will take them some time. Nevertheless, the friendly team suggests that Mouse just charge in there, and I don't know what I expect is going to happen. So what Mouse wants is, she wants to be undetected, then slowly ease around the corner, deploy smoke, and use that smoke. But I mean, first you have to be undetected for that to happen, and second, you need your team in position to spot. Now Mouse made it safely around the corner. Undetected, she can deploy a smoke, and finally she can engage in the battle again. The friendly ships are in a position to help out. And, well, unfortunately the battleship in the south still isn't going straight towards the enemies. The battleship in the south is Aetam. And, well, Aetam doesn't have an awful lot of guns and not very good accuracy. So Aetam really wants to get close towards the enemies. Also, what you really want is that the enemies don't shoot your 3 cruisers, but you want the enemies to shoot your 1 battleship here. Now here in the north, we have a friendly battleship who is going straight towards the enemies, which is nice because he might be able to get this Nagato. This Nagato, I think, is retreating because he knows staying alive is pretty important. And the Scharnhorst here might be in the ideal position to intercept that Nagato. So that's good news, I guess. The enemy team has meanwhile more points, so time is on their side, and they also have some fairly healthy ships in the Scharnhorst and the New Orleans. And if the enemies manage to sink a few of those cruisers, it might end pretty badly for the friendlies. Friendly battleship here, the Gneisenau, is retreating behind an island. I don't know why, but he is the one person that you want the enemies to shoot at, right? Because he can take the hits, he has armor, he has hit points. And here, you want the enemies to shoot your Gneisenau. You don't want the enemies to shoot your cruisers, because your cruisers can't take the hits. So basically this Gneisenau should do all he can to make himself an... well, he shouldn't show broadside, but he should just go right at the enemies. But anyway, Mouse abandoned her position by the island, and she is, well, trying to get a little bit further away from the enemies and providing some fire support. Her smoke will be ready in 26 seconds. So if she survives long enough for the smoke to get back, this should be nice, and she's also doing a good job at dodging incoming shells so far. Now you can see all the 3 enemy cruisers, they are somewhat trying to stay alive. The battleship still not going straight for the enemies, and hopefully in the north the friendly battleship will take out the Nagato. It's looking good, this Nagato is almost down. And Mouse is almost down as well, she is holding her fire, she is trying to drop back into concealment. Once in concealment she can slow down and deploy her smoke. Unfortunately I think she's a little bit too fast, so yeah, unfortunately Mouse drifted outside of her smoke and that's it, so slight mistake on her part. Now the enemies were up to 960 points here I think, but well, it's looking pretty good with only the New Orleans remaining, but if the New Orleans sinks the Otago, the enemies will gain I think like 35 points. So if the New Orleans stays a while a little bit longer and sinks the Otago, the enemies will win. So it's still pretty close, it depends if the New Orleans can stay alive long enough and if the New Orleans can sink the Otago, I presume. Now let's take a look at the results. Friendly team managed to win this game, and LittleWhiteMouse got herself 2,582 base experience. She has earned over 1,100 more experience than the second best on the team. And yes, he certainly contributed to this victory quite a bit. So Mouse was where the objectives were and tried to get her team doing the right thing, but you know, this game was a lot closer than it should have been. The friendly team had a ship advantage in the end, but they were so far out of position that the enemies almost managed to win it regardless. Mouse found herself as Confederate and scored 107,000 points of damage. Now this number isn't that impressive, but keep in mind that she was crucial in sinking all 3 enemy destroyers, and destroyers don't have a lot of hit points. And besides that, she was also crucial in helping defend the capture points, because, well, most of her team just didn't want to go where the battle was. So I hope you enjoyed watching this game. I picked it because, well, it's common for ships to go into positions where they can't do an awful lot. I guess most people just don't spend a lot of time thinking about tactics, or they just sail in a straight line and shoot stuff and don't pay attention where they are going to. So I hope some people get something useful out of this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you guys next time.